Hello, right, this one's speed, distance and time, or speed, time, distance, the way I've written it. Now, there is a relationship between all these three things. Now, let's have a look. There is town A, and there is town B, and there's the distance. Now, if we travel from town A to town B at a certain speed, we will achieve that travel in a certain time. Now, if our speed increases, then the time will decrease. Yeah, the faster we go, the quicker we'll get there. So, consequently, the slower we go, the longer it will take to get there. Now, if we take another two towns, also called A and B, just by sheer coincidence, yeah, and this time the distance is less. If we travel at the same speed as we did for the first A to B, then because the distance is less, the time will be less. So we travel at the same speed, the distance is shorter, the time decreases. And consequently, if we increase the distance from A to B and we still travel at the same speed, then the time will take longer to get there. So there is a link between the speed you travel, the distance you travel, and the time it takes to travel. So this is a thing that you have to remember. Now I've got lots of dots and all sorts of stuff all over the places. And we do some examples where we have to find the speed, the time, the distance, etc. Now you need to remember this because it will help you so much. Now, the D is for the distance, the S is for the speed, and the T is for the time. And this little triangle helps you remember what you need to do for any one of the three options you need to find out. So if you need to find the distance, look at this triangle. The distance is the speed times the time. So speed times time. So I could write D equals ST. Yeah? Now, if we want to find the speed, which is this one down here, and there's only three different options, so there's a divide there. The speed is the distance divided by the time. So that's the distance divided by the time, or the speed equals the distance over time. And if we want to find the time is the distance divided by the speed. So you go up that way this time. So the time equals the distance divided by the speed. Time equals the distance divided by the speed. Now you see we've got three little formulas there. So you don't have to remember them all. You don't have to remember any of them, as long as you can remember this triangle, and you can just see from the triangle what you need to do. So if you're asked to work out the distance, you go, oh yeah, speed times time. Asked to work out the speed, distance divided by time, and the time is the distance divided by speed. So let's have a look at one or two of those, see what we can do. So just every time that you get one of these questions and you think, it's one of these speed, distance, time things, then just draw the little triangle over there. Speed, time, distance. However you want to try and remember those three, DST or DTS or STD or TSD, whichever way around you might want to make a little a little sentence, you know, I don't know, something, you know, Dave, Susan, and Terry, or just something to try and remember this triangle. But once you've got that in your head, it's easy. So let's go from Leeds to Liverpool. Now, forgive me for those people that live near Leeds or Liverpool. These are, I'm guessing, distances now. I'm going to say that that might be 50 miles. I don't know. So what is 50 miles? 50 miles is the distance, right? Now we're going to travel at 30 miles, nice and slow, per hour. And that can be written as 30 mph. And what's that? That's the speed. Right, so find the time. Find the time, how long it took to get there. So we need to find the time. So look at your triangle and you go time equals distance divided by speed, which is 50 miles divided by 30. And I'll do that on the calculator. 50 divided by 30 is 5/3, which is 1.6. 1.6 recurring hours. Now, it's in hours because this is miles an hour and this is miles. And this is the only thing that they can throw at you to make it more complicated, where they mix up the units and you have to convert before. But we should be okay with converting. Now, if you wanted to change that into hours and minutes, this is 1 hour and what's that? That's 2/3. 1 and 2/3 of an hour. So if we want to change that to hours and minutes, well, we've got 1 hour, that's all right. So now we need to do 2/3 times 60, because there are 60 minutes in an hour. So 2 divided by 3 times 60, 2/3 is 40 minutes. So it will be 1 hour, 1 hour and 40 minutes. They might not ask you to change it into hours and minutes, but whatever you get here, say we've got 3.8 hours, it's not 3 hours 80, it can't be. All we need to do is just take this 0.8 times it by 60, 68 48, so that becomes 48 minutes, yeah? So that was 3 hours and 48 minutes. So that's how to convert the decimal into the minutes, yeah? So don't get confused by something like, oh, hang on, let's go back up so we can see. Don't get confused by, say, 3.5 hours is not, it's not 3 hours 5 minutes. It's not 3 hours 50 minutes, but it is 3 hours and 0.5 times 60, which equals 30. So it's 3 hours and 30 minutes. Oh, that's supposed to be an M. Yeah? So that's how I'm working out time. What about it? Let's go on another journey. Let's go on another journey. We go down south now. So we go from Bristol to Cardiff. I think there's 2 F's in Cardiff, yeah. Now we're going to travel at 70 miles per hour. And the time it takes us is, I don't know, 1.5 hours. So find the distance. Okay, keep it up with this. Good, keep up with this. You can watch these again and again and again. Please do. Yeah, find the distance. Now 1.5 hours is 1.5. Don't forget. Yeah, don't go 1:30 because I want to keep everything in miles and hours and things. So we do our triangle, yeah? And we've got speed, time, distance. Now, what have we got to find? Find the distance. The distance equals the speed times the time. The speed is 70, the time is 1.5. So 1.5 times 70, 1.5, or 70 times 1.5, should be pretty easy, is 105 miles. I know it isn't. It's not quite that. But there you are. That's the way we're doing it. So we can find the time, we can find the distance, and I guess we can find the speed for our third one before we look at some examples. So let's have a look. We're going from here to there. And the distance is 28 meters. Yeah. What we're going to do, we'll find the speed, aren't we? And did we find the speed in the first one? I can't remember. Now we found the time in the first one. We found the distance, and now we're going to find the speed. So the distance, the time it takes to get there was 14 seconds. Oh, this would be easy. So 14 seconds. Yeah. What is the speed? Okay, do the triangle. Do the triangle. Okay, we've got to find the speed. The speed equals the distance divided by the time. The distance is 28 meters and the time is 14 seconds. So that is 28 divided by 14 is 2 meters per second. So get the units right. No problem. Let's have a look at some examples. Right. Now, Liam runs 200 meters in 25 seconds. What's the speed? Okay, let's do the triangle so we don't forget what we're doing. Speed. Speed equals the distance divided by the time. The distance is 200. The time is 25. So 25 into that is 8 meters per second. Tina completes a marathon in 150 minutes. What's the speed? Miles per hour. Right. So we've got this 150 minutes bit. I think I'm going to convert that into hours. Yeah. So 150 minutes is 60 minutes in an hour. So that's 2 hours. 2 hours. 2 hours, which is 120, and I've got 30 left over. So that's 30 minutes. Make that a decimal, it's 2.5 hours. Right, okay. Now we use our triangle from up above. We've got the time. Now we've got the distance and we've got the time. So we need to know the speed. So the speed equals the distance, which is 26 miles, and the time it took her was 2.5 hours. So 26 divided by 2.5 is 10.4 miles per hour. Now my tip is, for what it's worth, convert before you do the calculation. Yeah, because otherwise we're going to get 26 divided by 150, and that will be in miles per minute. Let's see, can we do that? 26 divided by 150. 26 divided by 150 is something a bit crazy. 0.173 miles per minute. Now we've got to multiply that by 60 to get miles per hour, times 60, and it gives you 10.4. I just find this a bit more unwieldy, a bit unnecessarily complicated, and this maths is difficult enough as it is without trying to make stuff more complicated than it needs to be. Find the easiest way to do something and stick with it. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this triangle bit stuff over here because I can't do it without the triangle. Right, Dimitri is planning a car journey. He has sketched the roads he'd like to take. He will obey the following speed limits. A to B is B to C is this, and A to C is that. Which is the fastest route? So we've got to calculate these two together from A to B to C and see how long it takes to get there. And from A to C. Now these have got different speeds, so we're going to have to do the separate calculations and add together. So from A to B, we need to find the time. Time is the distance divided by the speed, which is 80 divided by 50. 80 divided by 50, 1.6 hours. Now, don't bother changing that to minutes. It doesn't matter because we're just making a comparison between two. And whether it's in decimals or minutes, it doesn't really make any difference. It just saves us a bit of work. So B to C, we've got to work out the time. The distance is 10. Speed is 20. And that equals 0.5. Add these two together. So from A to C is 2.1. 2.1 hours. Now we do the A to C round this way. So the distance is 154. The speed limit is 70. So 154 divided by 70 is 2.2. 2.2 hours. Now see why we didn't need to get minutes? 2.1 is less than 2.2. So which route? The route A, B, C is faster. Right. Now, Dimitri decided to take the route that passes through B. Oh, now he tells us, yeah? Now, he sets off from point A, and after 1.5 hours, his car breaks down. If he travels within the speed limit, what's the farthest he could have travelled? So, we need distance. So the distance equals the speed times the time. Now, the speed on this one is 80 miles an hour, and the time is 1.5 hours. So 80 times 1.5 is 120. Ooh, hang on. Sets off in point. After 1.5 hours, his car breaks down. If he travels with it, the farthest he could have gone. So we need distance is speed times the time. The speed is... Oh no, that's not the speed, is it? That's not the speed. Because he's gone too far, that's why. Gone too far. The speed was 50. Yeah? 50 times 1.5 is 75 miles. Okay. Right? Don't matter about making mistakes. It's what you're here to do. Yeah? I may have done this question 20, 30, 40, 50 times, and I still made a mistake. So don't worry. That's it. Speed, distance, time. Remember the triangle.